I think the day has arrived. I've been promising this to you for a few days now, but old Spence, close, so close to hitting the road, but there's a couple things I need to check. So I'm going to pull this banjo bolt out, and I want to check this Alta fitting right here. This is for the overboost protection. If this is all plugged up with carbon, it can literally reduce the power output on these turbo diesel engines. So I'm going to pull this out, clean it, put it back in. You can see this is a very special bolt. And what we're checking here is to make sure it's not plugged up. Wow, this is one of the cleaner ones I've seen. If this gets impacted, it's going to tell the engine to go into overboost mode and shut the fuel mixture down, so you'll lose power. That'll happen if this is plugged. I'm not going to try to explain it. I've done a thorough on-demand video on my website. I'll put a link below if you're interested in learning more about your Alta system on your own turbo diesel. But this is okay. I'll rinse this off a little bit, get 2 new washers. You need aluminum washers on each side of the line here, and you want to also check and make sure there's no cracks right here. Because if you're losing pressure going over to the top of the Alta fitting on the injection pump, either by this being plugged or a leak in the line, you're going to have power output problems. I guarantee it. And earlier this morning, I did 2 things. I wanted to fix this Mickey Mouse idle stop, because with that in place, there's no emergency stop. So I fixed this on the side of the injection pump. Now we can set the idle right where we want it, and we have a functioning emergency shutoff. And then I went through the vacuum lines, checked everything out, because if we're going to see whether or not this transmission is shifting properly, we have to make sure that this is all hooked up properly, and then we have positive vacuum going to the transmission modulator. I think the moment has arrived. Now, remember, the purpose of this particular drive is to check a number of things, and I'll be explaining that as we roll down the road. The main thing is we want to make sure this engine's healthy, or we want to make sure that transmission works properly. So I'm going to fire it up. I'll hit the glow button over here on this side. Look at this. This is something you don't see very often in an old 300D. Is the tachometer is working. Parking brake works. Parking brake light works. Okay, we'll release the parking brakes. The brakes, they're working okay, but they're still a little soft. You know, I think we're going to need pads and probably rear calipers, but look at the shift now. That new shift bushing in. And here's a way to test a transmission on these old diesels. If you put it into either reverse or drive, and there's a long delay before it engages, that indicates some internal wear. Now watch, let's check this out. We go into reverse, immediate engagement, go into drive, immediate engagement. That's a real good sign right there. Okay, here we go. So I'll drive slowly for a little bit, and we'll just kind of see how this transmission feels before I start getting on it. I'm going to keep a close eye on the gauges there. We did have to do a little wiring to get the temperature gauge to work. The wire had broken off at the sensor at the cylinder head. So you don't want to drive one of these without the temperature gauge working. Now I don't want to romp on it until I drive it a bit here, so I'm going to have to wait for the traffic. Listen to that sweetheart purr. Okay. Check the shift. Not bad. It didn't jerk and it didn't flare. Look at that. Now right away what I notice is how tight the car feels. Look at this. I know the shocks look like recent replacements, but this is pretty good. And look at how it kind of rides. There's a little bit of steering play, but not too bad. Man, this thing, I've got the sunroof open. Let's close it up. By the way, we did fix the sunroof, and I'll explain how we did that in another video. Let's leave it in drive for this segment, and I'm going to get on it. Now, I'm not going to floor it, I'm just going to bring it up to speed fairly quickly. Okay. Look at those shifts. 3rd to 4th. Wow, that's really smooth. Oh, I cannot believe it. I wish I would have filmed this car when I first went to see it. It was in a lean-to. It was dirty. It had stuff all around it. I didn't even want to buy the car. I walked away. I was not going to buy this car. Now look at it. It's cruising down the road and as good as any 300D turbo I've recently driven. All right. Now, we're up to temperature. We're about almost 80. Look at our oil pressure over here. Right at 3. Isn't that great? Oh, look, the clock's working. The clock is moving. All right, for this test, I'm going to put it down into low, and then I'm going to put it back up into drive so it starts out in first gear. Let's see how this thing does. Wow. That transmission really shifts good. Okay. Well, we have a winner. I think we have a winner here. All right. We're going to just go off camera for a little bit here and drive a couple more times around this circuit and kind of check temperature. We're coming up a little over 80 now, so that's about where we want to see the coolant temperature running in these old diesels, 80 to 85. One more time from a stop, just in drive, okay? Like normal driving, I'm not going to floor it. That's about right. We're about 3,000 RPM and shifts right into fourth. Look at that, hands off, smooth. This is actually an enjoyable car to drive. If I fix the driver's seat, I'd have no problem with this. But I'm noticing something I do not like right over here. Look at that temperature there. It's climbing up, and I don't like the looks of that. That is not normal, so I'm going to head right back to the shop, and that's the next thing we're going to have to troubleshoot. Look at that, rides pretty good over rough ground. Let's check it out over some real rough ground here. Wow, that's pretty nice. No clunking, no banging. Okay, back to work. We're not done here with old Spence. I just want to share with you a word of advice here when you're troubleshooting an overheating engine problem in these old Mercedes. It could be any car. Don't throw parts at it. I've seen this over and over again. People say, oh no, it's overheating. I'm going to need to replace the water pump. I'm going to need to replace the radiator. I'm going to need to, and they spend all this money and the engine is still overheating. This is one of the best troubleshooting tools you can have to troubleshoot a problem like we're having here with Spence. This is an infrared thermometer, and I'm going to show you how to use this to try to locate where the problem is on this engine. I did this when the engine was running outside. Look at that. I'm picking up still about 75 to 80 degrees right in the area where the temperature sensor is on these engines. So it definitely is getting hot. All right, let's check the next thing. Okay, I'm going to check the tank on the radiator. That's showing 85 degrees. Now this has cooled down a few minutes since we pulled. So the tank's pretty hot. I'm feeling this hose, and I can hardly touch this hose. This hose is very hot. The hose is at 80 degrees. Now here's something interesting. Let's check the bottom hose right down here. Look at that, 28 degrees. And if I reach down here, the bottom of the radiator, let's see if we can get a temperature strike on the core. Look at that, 37 degrees on the lower part of the radiator core. So here's the quiz for the day. Where do you think the problem is? One more thing, let's check the thermostat housing. Here's the thermostat. Thermostat is located right here. So we'll do a test on the engine side of the thermostat. Whoa, look at that, 82 degrees. Now we'll come out here on the other side, 45 degrees. I would probably bet odds that we have a stuck thermostat right here. So I'm going to replace the thermostat first. It could be the radiator. It could be the fan clutch, but I'm spinning this fan clutch, and it feels real good. I don't have any coolant leaks showing at all. This thing is dry, but it could also be rust inside the engine. If the person that owned these cars in the past have run water in it without coolant, you can build up scale rust inside these blocks and it'll cause overheating. So we want to go with the simple things first. Rather than start replacing everything, I'm going to replace the thermostat and we'll go out and hit the road again. But man, this is hot right here. I'm thinking, and some of you probably know what I'm thinking, I'm not going to do any more work on old Spence here until I solve this engine overheat problem, because I've run across 2 or 3 of these OM617 turbo diesel engines that had so much rust inside the block because someone had been running water in the system. Because this radiator was leaking, I'm concerned maybe the previous owner had been running water just for convenience sake. And if you have that situation, most of the time you do have to tear the engine down and rebuild it. And that's, you know, that's not something I want to do. So we're going to go one thing at a time so we can actually find the problem. You know, you could shotgun this thing. You could replace the radiator, replace the thermostat, you know, and do all this, and you still might have a problem inside the engine. So we're only going to change the thermostat, and then we'll get back out on the road and do another test.